much, Sade, for coming on the show today. I'm so excited to get to learn more about you and your role at Taboola. In reading a bit more about you, I saw that you love jazz. I love jazz too, so that was a fun fact that I really enjoyed. And so just to start off, how are you doing today?
So my day today has been amazing, super busy, lots of projects on, which really makes a day really enjoyable and fast-paced.
I love it. Thank you so much. So let's jump into it. As an enterprise advertising manager at Taboola, you interact with clients from different backgrounds and industries every day. And I think that the women in our community would be really curious to know, how do you tailor your approach to effectively communicate Taboola's value proposition to different clients?
Yes, so I think the key point here is the tailoring your approach, because I think the first rule of thumb in sales is people by people, right? And I think it's really important to build a relationship with your client, understanding their needs, requirements, to really ensure that you have a true partnership. So from here, you're able to really delve into different areas of focus that can also impact the campaign, the success of the campaign, but most importantly, the partnership. And I think how you can really tailor the approach is asking those right questions. And I think that's really the key milestone here to sort of highlight.
Well, I'm going to have to ask, what are some good questions that our community could do or bring into their interactions that you ask?
Yeah, so for instance, I inherited a client some time ago. Everything looked great on paper, okay? But when I actually met with the client, I realized there was a huge misalignment into, what we were seeing to what they were seeing. And I think just starting off from basics, looking at discovery questions, what does success look like for you? And just understanding the key metrics of focus for the client, you're able to really deliver your own best practices, tailored approach to insights and the products that are available, so that you can collaborate more efficiently and really build that trust, loyalty and authenticity within the campaign and the partnership.
I love that. And I appreciate you saying that, especially for our viewers, because discovery questions are imperative. It doesn't matter what you're selling or the industry that you're selling to. It really does allow you to understand what that person is going through and align yourself with their goal. So thank you so much. I have a follow-up question to that. I would love to understand if you can provide maybe a specific example of how your adaptability led to a successful client acquisition.
Yeah, so just touching on, there's a load of different metrics that you can look at, but I think when you listen and silence are spelt with the same letters. And I think listen is a really key thing in remaining adaptable, because the more information you can take from the conversation, the easier it is to align accordingly. So one of the examples I used recently is, working with a client who's looking to switch their sort of core objectives with Taboola. And, by able to really absorb their key understanding of what success looks like, what the business outcome looks like for them, is how we can adapt the product according to the campaign itself and to actually deliver on those success metrics. And I think that would be a really good example of, how you can utilize discovery questions, building a sort of first-hand approach to a relationship and partnership with the advertiser.
I love that. So just so that I'm capturing, you asked really great questions and then you worked with your product to create a solution that was custom for the client.
Exactly, yes. And it's using as well, using, the language that they're using and reincorporating that into the approach can sort of marry up the whole strategy together.
That's really helpful. Thank you for sharing. And I'd love to talk about Taboola. Since we're talking about your company, let's talk about some of the things that you've seen specifically as it pertains to diversity and inclusion. How do you personally contribute to a culture that's inclusive and respectful of the Taboola culture as it exists today?
Yes, so I think one of the key things of contributing to inclusivity and being respectful of the environment is knowledge knowledge is power, and I think knowledge sharing is an even greater power. Being part of Taboola's ERG, Taboola in Culture, means that I'm very active in upcoming events, celebrations. For instance, we celebrated Chinese New Year last month. So we had a lot of collateral shared amongst my team across the office to just educate people on the celebration as such. We have Black History Month, Diwali, and much, much more throughout the year. And I really believe like being that person that's able to communicate and share some really key insights into the celebration or just the history of the topic is a key ingredient to really build on the inclusive environment amongst the team.
I like that you mentioned all those specific moments. And I was thinking, as you were speaking, I was thinking about something specific, a little bit off, a little just one of the things that I constantly have to remind myself, because you mentioned Black History Month, and I'm picking up an accent. So there are two Black History Months, aren't there, right? There's the US Black History Month and the UK Black History Month. So even as an organization that has a global community, I have to keep reminding myself there are two, and we need to make sure that we remember that.
Yes, so I think in the US you celebrate Black History Month in February, and in the UK we celebrate it in October.
Yep. Yeah.
And this is why our ERG works in a sort of localized region so that you can really tap into the sort of the key moments throughout the year across teams.
That's wonderful. So a couple more questions specifically about your day-to-day, because I think our community really cares about understanding what do you do exactly and how do you get your job done. So your job, primarily from my understanding, includes driving and creating successful campaigns for advertisers across multiple verticals. How do you make sure, as a sales lead, that you're staying updated with industry trends and technological advancements?
Yeah, I think this is a fantastic question because the industry trends and advancements in technology is really key to your discussions. And I think it's so important to keep up to date and to stay informed, because then that brings value to the conversations that you're having with your clients. You know, you're seen as a valuable asset to them to bring some worthwhile knowledge and information. But I also think as well, you know, when you have a genuine interest in the work that you do on a day-to-day, you naturally want to seek out new information that drives that excitement. And I think that's exactly what I do. It could be anything from browsing through LinkedIn and looking up some new updates from my clients, or just what's happening within the industry, joining forums, going to events, talking to people at events and talking to your clients. But also from a Taboola standpoint, you know, we have a lot of like internal product updates and just really understanding the back end of why this is being developed and what impact this will have. And I think, you know, together this builds like a 360 approach to the way that you deliver yourself to your clients and the value that you bring.
Circling back to music, circling back to not necessarily specific genres, but in general, I was reading a quote today, and I'm going to butcher it, but it talked about intelligence being connected to creativity. And something that very intelligent people, they become very creative when they're trying to solve problems. And obviously music and anything that is outside of like a very structured environment is the release of creativity. And so I'm curious about music and artistry, and how does that influence your sales strategies or even your sales approach? How do you infuse creativity into your interactions, maybe with your clients? You know, I'm really thinking about what are some out of the box ways that you bring your work to life within the sales industry.
Yes, so this is great. And internally amongst my team, it's become quite a funny side to my approach. So I'll frame this answer in ways by explaining that my mum was a massive fan of Sade back in the 80s, hence my name. Now, in my first opening email to a new prospect, a new client, I'll have one of my favourite Sade songs linked in my signature. Now, this is a great conversation starter that I've learned when meeting new clients. As many will know, Sade was or is a big fan, and this naturally opens up the conversation. Having met someone recently on a video call. He jumped on the call. He said he was a massive fan of Sade. We were swapping songs, what his favourite album was. And even while on the call, Sade came on in his office radio. So
Wow.
there was like a little bit of synchronization on that call. But as you can imagine, that broke down so many initial walls in the first sort of 3 to 5 minutes, and kind of just really opened up a natural conversation on the call.
I love that. That's wonderful. I really appreciated your time here today. Is there anything else that you would want our community to know about you, your journey, or Taboola?
I think always, be authentic, be yourself, bring creativity to the table, because the way that you think, someone else can spark an interest for someone else to expand on that approach.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.